What's going on, sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends? We are back again. It is another day. It is another sports card video. Today we're talking about Geoff Wilson.
You take the card and put it in the sleeve.
He's got his new store, Cards HQ, that is coming, and I'm going to talk about why you should be cheering on the success of that store. But before I get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you enjoy what you hear. Also, don't forget to connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad. And a huge thank you to today's video sponsor, Hake's Auctions. Guys, don't miss all of the hidden jewels over there at Hake's Auctions. It's their big November auction. It ends in about 12, 13 days. I've got a link down below that'll take you there, as well as in the pinned comments. And it is all sorts of different collectibles. Make sure that you check them out and see if there's anything of interest. All right. Many have wondered, why is Geoff Wilson putting $3+ million into a sports card store in 2023 when we've had prices that have come down for the last 2.5 years? Is the hobby healthy? Is it not? All these different varying things. Why not just throw your money into mutual funds and the S&P 500? Or hell, just stick it into a CD, put $3 million into a CD or money market account and get your 4 or 5%, maybe even a little bit more. Why not do that? And I think that the quick answer, and I've spent a little bit of time with Geoff Wilson, and he's also said this publicly, is that he's always had a dream of owning a card store, and it's just about kind of finding the right situation, the timing, and all that stuff. But the one thing I wanted to just kind of hit on first, I think there comes a point in every person's life, and he's a little bit older than me. I think he might be a couple years older. I'm 42. But this happened to me going back maybe 5 years when I entered into my midlife crisis. I joke about my midlife crisis, but I think this happens to everybody. As they hit kind of midlife, hopefully we hope to live long lives, but you really look in the mirror and you start to look at your life and how it's structured. And am I doing what I want to be doing? Am I working a job that I want to be working? Am I running a business? Is it the type of business I want to be running? Are you enjoying it? Because some people don't have the luxury. They have to work a certain job. They have to run a business a certain way or whatever. But you might have an opportunity where it's like, you know what? I've always loved this particular thing. It would be great if I could make a living doing it. And you only live once. We made a video on this going back a few weeks. I make videos on this quite a bit, actually. Just that reminder of, we get stuck in the daily routine and we forget, like, hey, tomorrow could be it. Like, today could be it. Like, it could be it. And so I think that when you're looking at this and you say, my God, why would Geoff, instead of putting $3 million into something else or just into traditional investments, which I assume he probably already has a lot of money in those sorts of things, why do this? And it's crystal clear to me that he really enjoys the hobby. I know that he enjoys the fact that his kids are also involved in this. So it's a family affair. He's shown that at the National. And we always talk about young people getting into the hobby. I hear, people talk all the time about we need to make sure that next generation is in, but then that's kind of where they leave it off. They don't have any sort of an action plan or anything that they're doing to help. But literally the booth that had the most young people at the National was the SCI booth. It was a kids trade station, trade zone, and it was parents with their young people there that were trading the entire show, talking to each other, making friendships. That is exactly what we were doing when I was in 1989, 1990, when I was a kid. That is really the only option. You bought packs at the store, at the grocery store, you go to the card shop and get completely wiped out buying singles. But then you come home, and you've got your buddies that also have cards and you're trading with them. You're talking about like different players. You're reading stats on the back of the cards. And also, let me remind you too, just how far card shops have come. In 1989, two guys ran the card shop in Panama City, Florida when I was 8. They were both smoking, literally the whole time I was in there. Every time I went in there, these guys were smoking. It was like a tinderbox. You had all this cardboard everywhere, and then you had two guys that were smoking cigarettes. They were hilarious, fun to chat with. Overall, nice guys that ran a card shop. But my God, my local shop here is called Cardiacs here in North Carolina, and they upgraded too. They had a shopping mall store, and they ended up getting kind of like its own building, 2 stories. They upgraded it a couple years ago during kind of on the back end of the pandemic, and a lot of stores have done this. There's some amazing card stores around the country. Card shows have grown, card stores have grown. And so going back to Geoff Wilson, why is he doing it? It's clear. You reach a point in your life, and I think that it's the same reason I make a lot of content. It's because this is a hell of a lot of fun. It's just fun. And so for him, he can run a variety of different businesses. Well, this is a business that's actually fun. That's a family affair. What's better than that? When you wake up every morning and you're going out there and you're doing stuff that you really enjoy, what is better than that? And then you've got your family involved and they enjoy it too. Man, I mean, that's really kind of it, isn't it? All right, so Geoff was on with Jeremy Lee Sports Card Live. Good talk last night for about an hour. And Geoff's talking about state of the market stuff, but he's talking a lot about the store. He's talking a lot about kind of what to expect. And there are some announcements that are coming. He didn't let on everything. There are more things that will come to light that are very exciting. And just knowing that this will be a card shop that is not like any other card shop on the planet. Whether it succeeds or doesn't succeed, there will not be a card shop exactly like this one that exists. One thing that Geoff hit on that I did not know about that I thought was interesting is he said no $10,000 plus cards in the store. Now he might change that up. Maybe he has a few. He said maybe there's like museum pieces, but the focus of the store is affordability, which again, if you're a collector, you've got to like that. You like to hear those sorts of things. You want it to be affordable, not just for young people, but for middle-aged people. You know, you want it to be affordable for everybody in a world that's expensive. Let's not kid ourselves. It's an expensive time right now. He wants to have showcases, you know, Jordan, Tom Brady, Wayne Gretzky with $20, $50 cards, $5 cards, and also have that inventory, maybe not as big as a Burbank yet, but kind of along the same lines as a Burbank of we've got affordable cards for your favorite players. One thing he's going to do differently than Rob does over there at Burbank, he's going to have a big breaking operation, but he said his words were run it in an honorable way. And one suggestion I would have, and this is probably not anything that's going to be new to his team, Geoff or his team, is just have consolation prizes for these, you know, teenagers that are entering into a break or people that are entering into a break. If you don't hit on, you know, you buy a team and, you know, you don't hit on anything, then whatever your favorite team is, you've got some cards there. There's some sort of consolation prize. Where you get into an issue with breaking and the gambling aspect is when people don't get anything in return and there's randomization to it. He said he's not going to have spinning wheels, but also, you know, you want to make sure that you don't have random teams. In my opinion, have someone buy into a team. They know exactly what they're getting. You're buying a spot for the Orlando Magic for this flawless case. It's this price. Boom. End of story. It's not, you know, you throw in money and we're going to randomize the teams and that sort of thing. I know that adds to the fun, but that adds to the gambling aspect of breaking. Just make it straight up, make it clean, easy, and that's the way that it should be, in my opinion, if you're going to run breaks. Because I do agree with Rob on certain parts, Rob Veras, of, you know, breaking, and is that the way that we want to bring people in? I also do understand what Geoff is saying too, though, is, hey, look, you got to open the product to have the singles to sell, and people are after the singles. And there's a lot of singles buyers like me that are happy that people buy the hobby boxes and then open them or get into the breaks. And then, you know, so there's a system there. There's an ecosystem. I can see both sides of it, but just make sure that people are getting something for them. You know, they're putting in, they're buying in. If they don't get cards out of that break, you've got cards for them. That's the key. One big thing that he threw out here that I thought was really cool. I've never seen another card store do this. Maybe there are card stores that do this. So no offense to any card store owners that might see this and say, hey, we do this. But he said that there will be trading allowed and encouraged in his store at all times. So it's meant to be an experience, but you're able to walk in there, not buy anything, hang out there and trade cards. That's how he has explained it here. And I thought that was very interesting because think about it. When you walk into a card store, do they want you lingering around trading? At a card show, do dealers want you at the trade night or do they want you in the exhibit hall buying from them? No, they want you to be buying from them, not trading somewhere else or selling by whatever, trading somewhere else. And so I thought that was very interesting. He wants people to linger around. He wants it to be a hangout where you watch a game. There's going to be TVs there. So you're there, you're watching a game, you're buying cards. There is camaraderie being built. To me, this is almost like a community center, you know, type business model where you're going to have people that are there all the time, obviously regular business hours. I think he mentioned 10 to 7 will be a typical business hours there. So the store won't be open all the time, but it will be open live all the time. And he did make mention on Jeremy's show too about focusing in on Asia and Europe, obviously different time zones, a lot of big card collectors in Australia, you know, that are on very different time zones. And so he's essentially going to be open 24/7, but obviously not the store being open 24/7. It'll be very interesting to see how the execution works for the 24/7 live selling model. And if it is successful, watch what happens, because there will be other card stores that are very quick to get on that bandwagon. I'm sure of it. But anyway, it's a very ambitious project. It's been talked about here. I'm going to be at Culture Collision setting up at the end of January. His goal is to open the store. Then I really hope that I'm able to swing in and see the grand opening if that's possible. But I know that his team will also be at the show, so I'm not sure. I know it's two separate teams that'll be running this, but it would be cool to see kind of that finished product out there when at the Atlanta Culture Collision show at the end of January. So there's a lot of reasons, I think, to want this to succeed. If you are in this hobby and you want to see it kind of stay relevant and hit more of a mainstream audience over time, this is the sort of thing that you want to see for that long-term relevance. I've heard many people say this is a dying hobby. I've heard many people say this going back a few years, like, hey, in 20 years, are people going to give a damn about cards? And I think before you had some of these big players get in and do some things, if Fanatics had not gotten in, I'm not sure if I wouldn't disagree with some of these people. But now you have large companies, you have large content creators, you have ambitious people that are willing to put their money out there and try something. I have more optimism for the space for the new entrants coming in. Of course, you've got this people that are already in and people that will kind of slowly get in anyway, that, you know, older folks like me and older that will get in and kind of get back. Oh yeah, I used to collect cards, sure. I'm talking about young people having those memories, growing up, having the midlife crisis like I am and like we are, right? And then being able to carry it forward. And this is the sort of thing that I think is needed. So I will cheer on this store as well as other stores and other sorts of ideas like this. I think it's really interesting. So we will see what happens. That's all I've got today, friends. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and don't forget to check out that Hake's auctions. The links are down below. It's a sweet one. Talk to you later.